Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Now, as we all know, World of Warships Blitz is a mobile game. Mobile games have a tendency to have some form of gambling mechanics into them. Now, to be fair, a lot of PC games have caught on to the potential income of this sort of thing, and Electronic Arts have big publisher houses have introduced similar mechanics in big games, but in mobile, it's quite prevalent. Now, before we get on to the main topic of today's video, which is going to be about, how I personally approach this, two things that I need to get out of the way, because that is a common criticism that is being made, and I've seen on YouTube and in other places. First of all, should there be gambling at all? Well, I prefer not to. But just because I prefer it not to be there doesn't mean that, games developers are just suddenly going to change this. It's a reality, right? I could also say if I go to a news agent or somewhere and they're selling lottery tickets, I don't think that should be done either. It's legal. It's part of life. Secondly, yes, Terry, but this game is marketed towards children, because it's not an 18+ game. So nobody prevents children from being exposed to gambling mechanics. My reply to that would be, have you seen what your child has been playing recently? Have you seen actual children's games like Roblox, for example, and the amount of gambling mechanics and just in-game purchase mechanics that they provide is quite hilariously over the top. So as a parent, and I do have a child myself, as a parent, it's your responsibility to make them aware of what these gambling mechanics are and to control how they're spending their money. And not just give them unlimited access to your credit card. Games like Fortnite have in-game purchases. A lot of games have these sort of things. So it's not something they're going to be that you can keep them away from. So my personal opinion here is teach them, because it's always better to learn about a danger in life than to just be shielded away in cotton buds and then later be exposed, because they will learn about it eventually, and it's either from you or from their friends at school. Now, that out of the way, and again, this is my personal opinion, you are very free to disagree to that, and if you want to raise your child differently, that is absolutely your prerogative, but you have the control, right? You can control what your kids are, like how their kids get access to purchases on mobile devices, right? Android devices have family settings and all kinds of ways to make sure that they can't just go and spend stuff. Anyway, so that out of the way, how do I personally approach gambling? Now, there are people who actually enjoy this kind of thing because there's a thrill, right? If you open a crate and there's potentially something really good in it, there's a thrill of doing this. And you're gambling with real money. So the first and most important thing that you need to do is to learn the value, because that's why premium currencies exist, in my personal opinion, is to obfuscate the value of the money that you're actually spending. Because if you're looking, this is my personal account, by the way, so I'm doing this on my own. Just felt right, since I'm talking about it. The premium currency here is gold. Now, you can get gold in various ways. One of them is to actually purchase it. Gold is also being handed out, say, for example, through Blitz passes, right? So you get like 50 golds from the free Blitz pass. So over time, you will accumulate a little bit of gold here and there. But one of the main ways of getting your hands on premium currency is to spend real money for it. So why is that obfuscation? Well, because you don't know how much what the comparative value of gold is. Like if I said what's the price for, I don't know, a really good loaf of bread, and you said $8 Australian, I'd say, yeah, probably sounds about right. So the small package that we look at here is worth about a loaf of bread. If I had asked you what's the real world value of 1400 gold in World of Warships Blitz, you'd say, I don't know, no idea. It's 1400 gold, right? How much is that? I don't know. Is that a lot? Is that not a lot? I have no idea. And that is one psychological mechanic to detach you from your everyday experiences that your brain has, where you say, if the game asked you, open this crate for for $3.50 or for $4, you'd say, you know what, $4 is for a single crate pull is actually quite a lot of money. I probably shouldn't be doing that. But if it's saying, hey, you can open this crate for 500 gold or for 850 gold. You're like, okay, how much gold do I have? Well, I've got 10,000 or 14,000. I can spend 850. But how much money is that? I don't know. You don't know. That's the idea. So the first thing we do in order to counter that is to translate the value of gold. And the best way to do it is to find the average kilo gold value in the game. And we can do that extremely simply by using some basic math. So this is in Australian dollars, but you can do that for your own currency as well. I have literally just opened a spreadsheet. Google Sheets are free. You can just sign up or you can use whatever software you have available, or you can do it on a piece of paper if you're so inclined. But for each package, I've entered the actual price in monetary value that you would have to pay in order to get said package. And I've then divided the price that you pay for the package by the amount of gold that you get from the package, and multiplied that by 1,000. So we normalize the different bundles that we get, and I've excluded the first purchase bonuses here because they are first purchase bonuses. But I've normalized it across the bundles, and then all we need to do is do the average out of that, and then we just round that down. So the price per kilo gold, so per 1,000 gold, in Australian dollars is $5. So armed with that knowledge, and just as something I keep in mind, we can now, for example, go to the premium ship shop, and have a look at the ships, and we see that, for example, the Rio de Janeiro here is a tier 5 premium and costs 6,000 gold. English is difficult. 6,000 gold. There we go. So with the price per kilo gold of $5, that's a $30 pack. The Moynihan costs about $30 as well. If we're looking at the other end of the spectrum, and we're getting to, let's say, the Thundra, then we could say around about 30,000 gold, which if we multiply that by 5, so 30 times 5 would be 150 Australian dollars. And that gives you a very, very quick way of just gauging the approximate price in a currency that you actually have mental context for, be it on a ship purchase or on a crate purchase, that can tell you. So for example, the Spring Heavy crate costs $2.50. So $2.50 for a single crate pull. That's how much I would have to pay. And that gives you a point of reference, because you know from your experience how much worth $2.50 is, but you don't know how much worth 500 gold is. And that is one way to counter this kind of mechanic. And this isn't applicable just to World of Warships Blitz, by the way. You can do this in any game. But this is one way to mentally translate very, very quickly to get an idea of the amount of money that you're spending for that. Now, now let's say I want to, for example, I want to gamble, right? I have some gold in my account, be it that I bought it, be it that I've just accumulated it, and I don't have enough to purchase myself a premium ship, but I have enough to go for a crate. So should you? Well, this is up to you, because again, if you're an adult, you are responsible for your own actions. This might be a new concept to some people, but you are solely responsible for the things that you're doing. In that regard, it is completely up to you, but you should do it responsibly, like it says in the word, responsibility. So let's have a look at the Orkan's Giant Hunt Crate, because that looks like an awesome deal, right? It costs 100 gold, so 50 Australian cents per draw. That's an amount where I could say, you know what, I could try a couple of crates. But before you do that, you probably want to check out what's inside the crate. So inside the crate, we have obviously the Orkan, which is a tier 8 premium destroyer. We got a camouflage for it. We got a potential to get the Jerzy Swirski, the legendary commander, or just a regular commander for the European line, and a bunch of and a bunch of 4-star blueprints that we could get out of it. The camouflage itself is like one of the sci-fi camos that I personally don't care for. So I wouldn't, even if I got it, I would not use it. So that's not a huge value for me. And obviously the Orkan is the main price of the whole thing. So let's assume that I figured out that I really would like to have an Orkan. And then we can press that little info symbol and see what the chances are. So here you get the chances or the drop rate from the crate. And we see that the chance to get the Orkan is 0.3%. That is extremely low. So a chance of 0.3%, you'd have to be very lucky to make this happen. And then you could obviously say, but you know what, Terry, the crate is so cheap. I'm just going to try open 10 crates and see what happens. So how much, if we know that one crate is 100 gold or 50 cents, then 10 crates are going to be $5 Australian. Well, we actually, Wargaming gives us a discount of opening 10 crates because they are so cheap, you know. And you could say, okay, 5 could pay $5, but it gives us 10 chances on a 0.3% hit rate on this. So it's relatively unlikely that we're going to get the Orkan out of this. Most likely what we're going to be getting out of this are some of the blueprints or the regular commanders. Because together the blueprints, if we're just looking at that here, and we do some quick math. What's this? 30, 60. That is an over 90%, probably about 96% chance that you're going to get a blueprint. So if we're going to open 10 crates, we'd have paid $5 for 10 packs of 5 blueprints each. Now, it's not that you don't get anything, right? It's not like you go to a casino, you throw $5 into a one-armed bandit, and you pull the lever, and then the $5 are gone because you didn't win anything. You get something for it, blueprints. Blueprints are always nice to have. Some people have enough of them, some people don't. But the chance of actually getting something out of it is relatively low. So with all these crates around, what I generally do is if I have a crate that I look at and there's something in that I really would like to have, like let's say for example we could look at this Brawler's Triumph crate, and this thing contains what? There's a Poison in there, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. There's an Atlantico in there, I wouldn't mind that either, although I feel bad about it probably. There's a Yuga in there, it's a nice one. What is that? A Black Ismail? Okay, I don't think I've even tried that. And a Pommern. So some really nice ships in here. And one of the premium camos for the Preußen, which I would say is actually doable visually. And we get the historical camo for the Pommern and a couple of other camos. So some really good stuff in here. So let's have a look at the drop rates. And here we can see that, yes, the high tier ships obviously have an extremely low drop rate. So the highest drop rate is 2% here for the Black Ismail, and then we've got a couple for the camos. But 88% chance that we are getting some of the other stuff, which is a 7-day Roar of Steel camo. Fine, don't need it. 7 ultimate silver boosters, okay. 7 ultimate XP boosters, 500,000 silver, don't need it either. 5 copper, okay, take it. But there's an 88% chance that I get something kind of meh, and only a relatively small chance that I get something good. But, like I said, it's about gambling. So if I say, okay, I really want to try because I would like one of these German battleships and I want to try my luck and I want to see what happens. The way I approach this is before I do this, I put a rule down. And the rule is how many crates am I going to open? So first step, calculate the amount of money I'm spending. It's 850, so it's probably about $4-ish. The second step then is to say how many crates am I going to open? And that's where I put my limit. So now that I've determined the value and the amount of money I'm willing to spend and how many crates I'm willing to open, and that will be precisely 1, because I feel like $4 I can spend. $8 would be stretching it a little bit for these low chances. I'm going to open a single crate, and the important thing here is to stick to your limit, right? I've set my limit. I said 1 crate. Doesn't matter how much more I'm going to do. 1 crate, I will open it. So I'll open 1 crate, and what do we get? We get the boosters. Obviously, we get the boosters because due to the chance. Now you could look at it again and say, oh, but maybe no. You said 1 crate and 1 crate only, and that's it. No more. So move away, step away. You had your chance. The game's over, and that's it. So this is how I generally handle, at least personally for myself, to the responsible gambling. Now there are other mechanics, like for example the Sonar sweeps, where you have the impression of a roulette style thing. This one has a slightly different mechanic behind it, and that mechanic is the sunk cost fallacy. So you see that, for example, and we'll do it here with just the first one. So we'll obviously the top price in the whole thing is the Black Shimakaze, and you can see that the chance of getting the Black Shimakaze is 0.04%. So if I'm going to be gambling, there's a 0.04% chance that I'm going to get the Black Shimakaze, which means obviously as soon as something is removed, the chance increases. It also gets more expensive every time. So in order to get to a chance where I'm actually probably going to be getting a Black Shimakaze, I will have to spend a fair amount of gold in order to just remove all the other bits. So this is not a roulette table, even though it looks like one, because there are obviously no equal chances here. So there are much higher chances of getting one of the other things. The most likely thing that we're going to get in the initial drop is probably a daily container, a universal booster, or something like that. So one of those booster things. So I'm going to do 1. And again, just to show you how the mechanic works, I'm going to play 1 here, and we're going to see what we're going to get. So it obviously passes over the Black Shimakaze, and of course it didn't drop it didn't land on anything good. It's just one of the boosters. So it didn't give me the free ship slot or the legendary commander. So you're now gonna have to pay 75 gold in order to make your way up to remove the next item. So you can and it gets more expensive every time you do that. And why is that? Why is this mechanic working that way? Well, the idea is that you get an impression that you are more and more likely to receive your target, which is true because you are going to get eventually higher chances of receiving your target. But you're going to have to most likely clear the whole area before you get there. Also, it doesn't tell you what the total amount is that you're going to be spending, because it only shows you that you have a relatively low amount of money that you then need to spend to do the next thing. So there is an increase. There's a bait, which is the low starting price, and there is an impression of an increasing likelihood of receiving the eventual price. And unless you actually click yourself through 2 info windows, you don't get actually to the drop rates of. These are still the initial drop rate, so we don't know what the actual drop rate is. You do get this sort of insidious system that pulls you in to try and spend more and more in small but increasingly expensive chunks, while at the same time giving you the idea that you are getting closer and closer to your goal, and at the same time putting you under time pressure because this is a timed event, and making you aware that you have already spent a certain amount of gold. So it's an opportunity cost at this point. It's like, I have already spent so much gold to clear half of the table. If I'm not spending any more now, then this will have gone to waste. And that is the sunk cost fallacy, and that is the main mechanic behind these things. And that is why I personally normally don't touch the Sonar sweep. The Sonar sweep is a very evil mechanic that I personally wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I've just done the 50 gold to demonstrate that to you. So if you're a new player, probably stay away from that one. Save up your gold, become aware of what the value for your gold is. And if you want to gamble, then look at a crate, and at least there you can see what the drop rates are, and that is sort of the thing. And of course, you also don't have to gamble. You can always purchase either bundles. Okay, there's none right now. And don't spend 160 Australian dollars for 280,000 free XP. You get that for free just for playing the game. You can. But you can outright purchase ships, right? So if you say, you know what, the Grim Yashi is worth 30 Australian dollars, then go for it. Then purchase the gold for it and spend it on that. But that is sort of the main summary of the gambling mechanics. Always keep in mind, this is a free-to-play game, and there is no pay-to-win ceiling, as in you can play free all the way up to tier 10. There are a lot of tech tree ships out here. There's a huge amount of stuff that you can unlock without spending any money whatsoever. If you enjoy gambling and you like the feeling of opening a crate and getting something good out of it, and you like to, do the coin toss and take your chances, then absolutely, just do it responsibly, and always make sure that you understand the real amount of money that you are spending and how much that is worth. So try to translate it into something like, how much would you spend for a meal at a restaurant? How much would you spend for a cup of coffee? How much would you spend for a full tank of fuel? And is it worth it to spend that sort of money for these things? How much would you spend for a AAA game if you purchased it on Steam? That's always a good indicator in terms of compared value for money. There we have it. Became a little longer than I initially planned, but this is my advice for how to gamble responsibly if you want to. And obviously, if you have children, you do need to make sure that they don't have unrestricted access to your credit card or any other payment system, because you can't expect kids to figure this out, and they will fall for the psychological pressure that gambling mechanics exhibit much more easily. So it's your responsibility as a parent to take care of those who are not responsible for themselves yet. And that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.